the ghost of a heritage house. My name is Dina. A few months ago, I inherited a house from my grandmother in Banjarmasin. It's an old-style wooden stilt house that hasn't been lived in for over 15 years. They say it was left empty because it held too many memories. Looking to escape the hustle and bustle of Jakarta, I thought it would be the perfect place to retreat, but I was very wrong. When I first arrived, the house seemed quiet, too quiet. There were no neighbors to be found anywhere. All I could hear was the sound of the small stream running behind the house, and the occasional owl. The house was clean, too clean, as if no one had dared touch it for a long time. The air inside was cold, not just any cold, a cold that penetrated to the bone. The first night, as I was just about to go to sleep, creak, creak, I heard footsteps coming from the attic above my room. They were heavy and slow, like someone was walking back and forth, I tried to think logically, maybe it was a cat, but this house was on stilts, There was no access to the roof except from inside. I stayed still, hoping the sound would stop, but instead it got louder. In the living room, an old photo of my grandmother hung. She was wearing a white kabaya, smiling kindly, but strangely, the next day when I passed by again, her smile was gone. Her face was blank, and the eyes in the photo seemed to stare directly at me, following my every move. I began to feel something was wrong. 2 a.m., I woke to a gentle vibration in the wooden floor. I set the glass on the floor, the water rippled, like someone was walking in the living room. But there was no sound. Just a vibration, rhythmic, slow, getting closer and closer to my room. I hid under the covers, praying for the night to pass quickly. In the morning, in the bathroom, I was brushing my teeth while daydreaming. Then, I caught a glimpse of a figure behind me in the mirror. An old woman in a white kabaya. Her hair was long, tangled. Her eyes were empty. I turned quickly. No one was there, but the mirror was cracked, from the top right corner down to the middle. I don't know how long it had been cracked. That afternoon, I sat on the porch. There was a rattan swing, my grandmother's legacy still hanging. I didn't touch it, but suddenly, the swing began to move on its own, slowly, back and forth, without any wind, as if someone invisible was riding it. I entered the house, not daring to look back. One night, I heard a sound, a child crying from under the house. The house was built on stilts, and underneath it was just dirt and a few bushes. I took a flashlight and peeked through the side window. There was no one there, but there was a doll. A small, worn doll sitting facing the house, and its crying could still be heard. The next morning, an old woman selling vegetables came to the front of the house. She simply said, "Son, that house used to be where someone ended their life. Their soul is still at rest. If possible, don't stay there too long." I tried to smile, but deep down, I was starting to want to leave. At breakfast, I found it, the tattered doll, sitting on the dining room chair, the same doll I'd seen under the bed the night before. I immediately wrapped it up and threw it in the river behind the house. But, the next day, the doll was back, sitting in the same spot. The torn smile on its face seemed even wider. It was midnight. My feet were cold, as if they were being touched by something. I thought it was the wind, but when I looked under the bed, there was a hand, a pale, thin hand, with long nails gripping my foot. I screamed, kicked, and ran out of the room. But when I looked again, there was no one there, just a scratch on my ankle. I couldn't stand it anymore. I invited a shaman from a nearby village. He looked at my house for a long time, then said softly, "This isn't just one, there are 3. I didn't understand, but he asked me to stay at a local's house for 3 nights. A major ritual would be performed. On the 3rd night of the ritual, a black chicken was sacrificed. 7 kinds of flowers were scattered in every corner of the house. Incense billowed, prayers echoed, but suddenly, the lamp shattered, the candle flame grew, and from the attic came a long drawn-out scream. It wasn't a human voice, not a voice anyone could imitate. At the end of the ritual, I went home alone. I entered my room, and there stood my grandmother, or something that resembled her, but her face was half destroyed. Her eyes were blank, and her body was floating. she said. You don't belong here. Go home, before they don't let you go. The next day, I didn't think twice. I called a travel agent, packed my things, and left the house. I didn't look back. I felt like if I stayed one more night, I might not be able to leave. I returned to Jakarta and swore I would never return. Now, the house is for sale at a low price, but everyone who buys it never stays there long. In fact, the last owner is said to have disappeared, and residents say that every Friday night the house's lights turn on by themselves, even though no one is inside. If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe.